In my line of work, I'm always on the lookout for truly transformative ideas, the kind that don't just put a new coat of paint on old ways of thinking, but offer a fundamentally new blueprint. And I have to say, that's exactly what I found with Insight4Alignment. This is a framework that I truly believe represents the next evolution in building high-performing, resilient cultures. Think of it less like another program and more like an architectural plan for leadership in the world we live in today. Let's dive into what makes this so different. And this quote, this gets right to the heart of a problem that every single leader I talk to feels, even if they don't say it out loud. It's that quiet, persistent dissonance in our organizations. We chase performance, right? We hit the metrics, we drive output, and often we succeed. But what's the cost? The cost is a culture of exhaustion. It's the hard ceiling of a performance-only mindset, and it's a ceiling we are all bumping up against. So the big question is, how do we break through that ceiling? This is exactly where Insight4Alignment comes in. It's a framework that's been specifically designed to interrupt the cycle of exhaustion and misalignment, not by ignoring performance, but by building a much more resilient, much more human foundation underneath it. Okay, let's be really clear about what this is, and maybe more importantly, what it isn't. This isn't some fuzzy vibe. It's not another wellness app or a few motivational posters for the break room. Insight4Alignment is a professional, rigorous methodology. The best way to think about it is like an architect's blueprint for a new human operating system. It's a structured system you install first in your people, and then you scale it across the entire organization. At the very heart of this entire system is this core piece of intellectual property they call the architecture of the self. And the central idea here is both incredibly simple and profound. You cannot architect a healthy organization without first understanding the internal architecture of the people who make it up. The strength of the macro, the whole system, is completely dependent on the coherence of the micro, the individual. And here it is, the blueprint of the self. Just take a second to look at this diagram. What I find so incredibly powerful about this is how it visualizes our internal world. It's not some chaotic mess of emotions and thoughts, but a coherent, understandable structure. It makes the case that great leadership isn't just some personality trait you're born with. No, it's the direct result of having these 5 internal pillars: identity, thought, dignity, trust, and presence, in deep alignment. Let's quickly touch on what each of these really means. Think of these 5 pillars as the load-bearing walls of a resilient leader. Identity, that's your foundation, who you are beyond your job title. Thought is how you actually architect your reality. Dignity, that's your inherent worth, completely separate from your output. Trust is the bridge you build to connect with others. And presence, well, presence is the powerful result when the other 4 are aligned. It's how you show up and lead with real clarity and impact. So the official name for this is alignment architecture. And I want you to pay close attention to the words they use here: systematic, measurable, and scalable. This is so key. It moves the entire conversation away from abstract philosophy and puts it squarely into the realm of a replicable process. It's a blueprint designed to turn something intangible, an individual's consciousness, into something very tangible, a thriving organizational culture. So this brings us to the crucial question I know is on every executive's mind. Okay, this sounds powerful for one person, but how do you scale it? How do you take this internal architecture and build an entire culture out of it? Let's look at the pathway. Well, the ecosystem is built around these 3 distinct labs. You can see you've got the inner lab, which is all about awareness and reflection. Then there's the thought lab, where people do the deep intellectual work to really understand the frameworks. And finally, the practice lab. That's where it all gets real. It's where theory gets turned into embodied skill through action. It's a complete cycle: reflect, understand, and embody. Now, this pathway map, for my money, this is one of the most compelling visuals in the entire system because it lays out the whole journey. It shows this clear, logical progression, moving from learning in the thought lab to training in the practice lab, and then, crucially, to embodying those skills through guided journeys. And it all culminates in leadership and service. The message is crystal clear. This isn't a one-off workshop. It is a complete developmental path. And here are those steps, just laid out simply. It's a repeatable process. People learn the frameworks, they train the skills, they embody the practices, and only then are they truly equipped to lead and to serve the culture. This is how you create change that actually lasts, not through top-down mandates, but through genuine, scaled development from the inside out. Okay, so let's zoom out to the macro level. How do we take these aligned individuals and intentionally architect an entire organization that reflects these same principles? To bridge that gap from the individual to the organization, they use this incredibly elegant metaphor, the alignment lamp. And I think this is just brilliant because it gives leaders a really simple, powerful diagnostic tool. You can just ask yourself, is the flame of our organization burning bright and focused, or is it sputtering and dim? The answer, as this model shows, lies in three distinct, interconnected parts. And the crucial insight here is that all three of these parts depend on each other. The flame, that's what we all focus on, right? Performance, innovation, momentum. But that flame is impossible without the wick. That's your structure, your processes, the clarity of your leadership. And most importantly, none of it works without the oil. The oil is your culture. It's the trust and psychological safety that nourishes everything else. A weak wick or low oil will always lead to a sputtering flame. And this single sentence captures the core thesis of the entire framework. So much of modern leadership is spent trying to fan the flame, just endlessly pushing for more output. This model argues the real leverage isn't in fanning the flame, it's in nourishing the oil and reinforcing the wick. It completely flips the equation. Sustainable, high performance is not the cause of a great culture. It is the result of deep alignment. Now, to make sure this is more than just a great metaphor, they provide this, the organizational alignment blueprint. And look, you don't need to read every single detail on here. The key takeaway is that this is a 5-tier funnel that gives you a strategic roadmap for implementation. It shows you exactly how to connect the high-level executive vision at the top all the way down to individual coaching and team integration at the bottom. It's a complete top-to-bottom system. So the opportunity I'm bringing to you today really goes beyond a simple partnership with a coaching company. This is an invitation to invest in and co-create a replicable system for building a new kind of institution. It's a leadership institute, a learning network, and a collaborative culture model all rolled into one. This is a system that's built to scale. And frankly, I believe it's a genuine look at the future of organizational design. So let's just boil this all down to the core value proposition. First, you're not just buying workshops, you're adopting a complete human operating system. Second, it is built to scale, from one person to your entire global enterprise. Third, it creates a direct, measurable link between the internal coherence of your people and the external resilience and creativity of your business. And finally, this isn't an expense line item. This is an investment in building an unshakable cultural and leadership asset for the long term. I'll leave you with one final thought. We spend so much time focusing on the cost of new initiatives, but I think the real question we should all be asking is this: what is the ongoing cost of inaction? What is the price you're currently paying in burnout, in turnover, in missed innovation, for the misalignment that already exists in your organization today? This framework offers a clear path to changing that equation. Thank you.